Have you ever noticed how some people seem to possess an almost supernatural presence? They don't raise their voice, they don't beg or chase, they simply withdraw, and suddenly everything around them shifts. The energy changes. People start questioning, reaching out and feeling the difference. Now imagine if you did the same. What if you stopped reacting instantly to everything? What if you chose silence over automatic replies and calm retreat instead of explosive responses? That's when real transformation begins. When you stop being constantly available, emotionally, physically, and mentally, the world around you enters a kind of crisis. People who were used to controlling you through your predictable reactions suddenly lose their grip. The game completely changes. Those who thought they knew you realize they barely knew you at all. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves." When you become less accessible, who gets desperate? Who gets irritated? Who tries to provoke you just to get a reaction? Their response reveals far more about them than it does about you, and it shows how much you've been unconsciously manipulated. You've been giving pieces of yourself away just to keep the peace, to please others, and to hold on to people who were never truly there for you. Every forced yes, every instant reply, every emotional reaction drains your energy. By the end of the day, you're left exhausted, frustrated, and empty, because you've been far too available to those who don't even deserve a moment of your silence. This isn't about turning your back on the world, it's about choosing yourself. It's about embracing what Jung called individuation, the journey toward becoming whole, authentic, and complete. This process starts the moment you realize that silence can be more powerful than 1,000 arguments, and that conscious withdrawal is an act of strength. So I ask you, how long will you let other people's emotions control you? How long will you keep reacting like a puppet every time someone pushes your buttons? Maybe it's time to cut those strings, to step back, and to become a little mysterious. Because when you stop being constantly available, everything changes. From childhood, we've been taught that our worth comes from being present, responsive, and pleasing to others. We've been conditioned to believe that always saying yes makes us valuable. But here's the truth. Excessive availability is not a virtue. It's a prison. As long as you remain instantly accessible, you'll be manipulated, drained, and discarded the moment you're no longer useful. Being overly available makes you predictable, and what's predictable becomes a tool. People treat you like an emotional emergency button. They reach out when they need attention, comfort, or validation, then put you back on the shelf. You stay trapped in the illusion that being there for everyone will make someone be there for you. But it doesn't work that way. Carl Jung spoke about the persona, the mask we wear to be accepted and loved. It's this mask that keeps you overly available. You say it's fine while you're suffocating inside. You reply instantly even when you're exhausted. You justify and explain yourself as if you owe the world an explanation. The more you place yourself at the center of everyone else's stage, the more you disappear from your own life. Constant availability is a subtle form of self-abandonment. It's a disguised search for approval and fear of rejection. But this control comes at a heavy cost, your peace and your vital energy. And people who demand your constant availability don't truly want you. They want what you provide: validation, distraction, and emotional support. When you set boundaries or stop reacting, they get irritated and accuse you of changing. It's not you. They're upset because you're no longer serving their needs. The painful truth is that the more available you are, the less value others place on you. What's too abundant loses its worth. No one respects what they don't have to earn. So stop and ask yourself, who truly deserves your time, your attention, and your presence? And equally important, who deserves your absence? To understand why we react so easily, we need to look at what Carl Jung called psychic energy. Your energy is your most precious resource. Every impulsive reaction, every unnecessary defense, every pointless argument leaks that energy away. Jung taught that what you resist persists. The more you react, the more you stay trapped in those cycles. People who feel emotionally drained aren't weak. They're simply misdirecting their energy. When you're exhausted, you become vulnerable, and opportunistic people sense it. They exploit your triggers and use your reactions against you. A healthy psyche knows how to contain its own energy. It knows when to say no without guilt, when to stay silent without feeling weak, and when to observe instead of act. True power lies not in reacting, but in consciously choosing when and how to respond. Start noticing your triggers. What pulls you out of your center? Those are the exact places where your energy escapes. Work on them, not to become cold, but to become selective and sovereign over yourself. When you conserve your energy, you shatter the projections others place on you. Opportunistic people thrive on your emotional availability. They don't need to shout or threaten. They simply push your exposed buttons and watch you react. They relate not to the real you, but to the role you've been playing. The moment you stop reacting, say no, or respond with silence, their projections crumble. They become unsettled because they no longer know how to control the narrative. Your unavailability forces them to face their own emptiness, and not everyone is ready for that. Silence is one of the most powerful tools in the human psyche. Not passive silence, but conscious, strategic silence, the kind that comes from inner clarity and strength. In silence, you observe patterns, break cycles, and reconnect with yourself. Jung understood that individuation requires this kind of inner distancing so you can finally hear your own voice. Silence will distance you from people who only valued your old role. They may call you cold or arrogant, but those are the reactions of people who benefited from your imbalance. As you mature, you become more selective with your words and energy, because not everyone deserves access to your truth. Silence forces others to sit with their own thoughts. It reveals their dependencies and insecurities, but most importantly, it rebuilds you from within. It restores your energy and reconnects you with your authentic self. Understanding this means nothing without action. True change happens when you start practicing conscious unavailability. Don't reply instantly. Breathe before reacting. Leave conversations that drain you. Say, "Not today." Say, "I'm not available." And most importantly, stop explaining yourself. You don't owe anyone justification for protecting your peace. This journey includes discomfort. You may feel guilty or selfish at first. People who benefited from your old self will resist. But every time you choose yourself, you take another step toward freedom. When you stop being available to everyone, something beautiful happens. The uncomfortable silence transforms into healing. Solitude becomes presence, deep, nourishing presence with yourself. You stop betraying your own needs to keep others close. This is the solitude of the strong. In this space, confusion gives way to clarity, anxiety to peace, and neediness to inner strength. You move from being a reactor to a creator. You stop being shaped by the world and begin shaping your reality from within. You may lose some people, but you will finally find yourself. You will be misunderstood by some, but deeply respected by those who matter. You become rare, valuable, and unforgettable. If you've made it this far, a part of you is already awakening to this truth. Being loved is meaningless if it requires you to abandon yourself. Real self-love begins the moment you choose you, even if it means walking alone for a while. Now tell me in the comments, are you ready to be misunderstood in the name of your freedom? Are you willing to pay the price of becoming fully yourself? If this resonated with you, write, "I choose my peace," below. Let's see how many of us are ready for this transformation. Thank you for watching. Keep choosing yourself.